Okay, so this is going to be a follow-up to my heritage turkey feeding guidelines video. And I want to talk about some things that are probably missing from your turkey's diet. A lot of people just think they can feed a commercial feed and that's it, just like you would with a meat turkey, and that's just not the case. Since these guys are so much closer to wild turkeys, you really need more variety in their diet than just that. So hunting wild turkeys and processing them taught me some interesting things about what they actually eat. And what I typically find in the stomach of a wild turkey is a lot of the little black ground beetles, grass, and acorns around here in Northern California. And so they obviously range quite a ways. They range miles to get the food they need. And they forage a lot. And in urban areas, you'll also see them eating cat food and dog food if they can find it. So anyway, raising my heritage turkeys and watching them free range taught me some interesting things too. They eat a lot of plant material. Obviously, there's a lot of grasshoppers and other bugs out here that they're going to catch, and that's an important source of protein. But looking down here at this stuff, they will eat all kinds of like little leaves. They eat seeds and little shoots and stuff. They'll come up to star thistles, for example, and they'll get the little bud that hasn't really formed big stickers, and they'll pull that right off and eat it. Free ranging your heritage turkeys is so important for that reason. And so now I want to get into some things. I want to cover not only the snacks that I feed them, but also the things that your heritage turkey's diet is probably missing if you're just feeding commercial feed. So number one is greens. Obviously, you need to free range them, and they eat all the stuff I just described. And if you can't do that, then feed them salad, like microgreens, power greens, some kind of a high quality greens that has a lot of different variety in it. Very important, and they love that stuff, and they'll eat it right up. So that's the first thing, is greens. The second thing is bugs. So that's why I already covered mealworms in the feeding video. I do give them mealworms every night, and I grind up mealworms and mix it in the food for the poults. They need bugs. That should be actually that should be the foundation of their diet, is insects. They greatly prefer that over grain-based food. So that's the second thing, is insects. Now, as far as grain-based food, let's look at this label here. This is typically what I would use to form the bulk of their diet after they've grown out of the poult stage. So this is 22% protein, and the fat is 3.6%. And the ingredients here, what do we have? Whole organic corn, soybean meal, peas, wheat, limestone, flaxseed, kelp, and then a bunch of vitamins and minerals. So it's pretty good stuff, but it doesn't give them everything they need. Okay, so I've already covered greens and insects, both of which can be addressed by just free ranging your heritage turkeys or giving mealworms and salad greens. Now, here's the biggest overlooked thing that most people have never thought of, is fat. Heritage turkeys and wild turkeys need fat. Like I just showed you, the fat content of this is 3.6%. That does not cut it. One of the biggest staples besides insects and grass in the wild turkeys that I see in their stomachs is acorns. Pure fat, just about. And so we were surprised to discover our heritage turkeys going to the front of the property and eating olives. We have a whole row of olive trees up there, and they would actually go all the way to the front of our property just to get the olives. So we actually started picking the olives for them. Since we don't really have access to a lot of acorns, I could go gather them, but it's kind of a pain. I probably should. But since we have olives, I don't do that. So anyway, watch this. Watch how much they love olives. They will just gobble them right up. And they haven't had them in a while. So it's not really olive season. Fortunately, olives are available at least half the year, and they love them. The fat makes their feathers so much better. Their feathers are thicker. The sheen and the quality of their feathers is a night and day difference if you give them fat. And so that's the third thing. Now finally, there are snacks. They also need fruit. Fruit like bananas, blueberries, a lot of stuff like that. Now watch these guys, they go nuts for bananas. They just absolutely are crazy about them. Bananas are their mid-afternoon snack that I give them every day. They just love it, and I don't know what all it gives them, vitamins and calories and whatever, but maybe it's just the taste, but they love fruit, and particularly bananas. But they'll eat a lot of different kinds of fruit, although that just seems to be the easiest and cheapest. I try to buy organic, but whatever. But anyway, that's, I think, the last thing that I want to talk about. So anyway, those are the things that are probably missing in your heritage turkey's diet if you're just feeding a grain-based food. And I think for the final part of this, I'm going to cover calcium sources, and you'd be surprised that even though you can give them a lay pellet or a lay feed, it still doesn't give them enough calcium. They still want more. So I'll cover that in the next video.